Hey, welcome back to another video. So in this one I thought I would show you some more progress on my front axle swap. But that's going about as well as something that doesn't go well. That's going about as well as this. I mean, it's coming out, but it's a little slower than you'd like. I mean, it's happened. Might as well film it, right? I mean, how long can this go for? Good God. Right next to the fire pit? Come on. Geez, got a real hanger on her. Oh gosh. Best of luck to you. I support you. Oh, there you go. Right there. And again. Good job. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, is there more? Just, no, maybe. We'll see. Still going. Longest intro ever. Kind of shows you where we're at right now. Not so mobile. That's all right. All right, so I wanted to do a quick review on this Cherokee high pinion Dana 30 that has been in my Jeeps for actually 5 years and about 40,000 miles. It has 488 gears. It has a lunchbox locker from Aussie Locker. It's their Torque series, so it's supposedly a little bit of an upgrade from their standard Aussie locker. It has drilled and slotted rotors. I think just Amazon specials, but been great brakes so far. It has Rusty's heavy duty tie rod on the bottom, even though it's still running the Y-Link or Haltenberger steering setup. This axle came out of a late 90s Cherokee, so pretty similar to what comes in the TJ. The difference being it's a high pinion axle, so makes it a little bit stronger, running on the drive side of the gear instead of the coast side of the gear. And it has been absolutely stellar for me. So the TJ, LJ, TJ6 is on 35s, and I've never broken a shaft. I've never broken ring gear, never broken a U-joint. It is running Spicer 760 joints. So make sure you get the Spicer brand, don't just get the AutoZone brand or any of those. They may have decent warranties, but Spicer used to be American made. I believe it still is, but either way, even if it's made overseas, it's made of a higher quality steel than you'll find in just your parts replacement. It also has 10 factory alloy shafts, so they're 4340 chromoly shafts, front or inside and outside. After that, it's pretty stock, and a lot of people upgrade to WJ knuckles because that allows you to do crossover steering. And it also comes with the bigger WJ brakes, and they may be, well, they definitely are better brakes, but the standard brakes, if you have a good quality pad and a good quality disc, that they've been absolutely fine for 35s. I haven't felt any need to upgrade there. It's running AutoZone ball joints, AutoZone, not wheel bearings, but unit bearings. And unit bearings a lot of times are known for having, for going bad. These I've had no problems with. And like I said, probably 40,000 miles running 35s. One thing that might help with that is I am running a JK wheel, which has 6 inches of back spacing. It really brings those tires in, and it takes a lot of the stress off of both the ball joints and the wheel bearing, unit bearing, wheel hub, unit hub bearing wheel thing. So, if you saw on my Moab videos, yep, there's your problem. That's no good. If you saw on my Moab videos, I did have a little bit of carnage, and that was this passenger side upper control arm mount. And in the video, you saw that it actually ripped entirely off of the axle, and was still hooked to the control arm when we unbolted it from the axle or from the vehicle side, and my buddy handed it out. And maybe if I'm good at YouTube, I can clip that in here or something. So at that point, I was driving on 3 links, the 2 lower links and the upper, which thankfully on this axle, the other upper mount is not another stamped steel mount, but it's a cast iron mount cast into the axle housing there. So that gave me at least a little bit of peace of mind that that wasn't going to rip off. However, just in the ensuing months, you can kind of see just how hard that's been on that bushing, and it's already starting to wear out. So yeah, stock bracketry is a little bit of a weak spot if you're going to beat on one of these things with bigger than stock tires. But the housing is still straight, and like I said, it hasn't left me stranded. It's really been a good axle. So why am I swapping it out? I have no idea. I guess I just want to run big tires like all my friends. This thing has worked great. It hasn't given me trouble. Steers nice. The brakes work great. This Y linkage steering gets all kinds of crap for not tracking as nice as crossover steering, but I love it. It never has death wobble. It's never had death wobble. Simple to swap out if you ever had anything. It's fairly tough. I do have the upgraded lower arm, the tie rod there from Rusty's, and you know that helps a little bit. And then it actually sits up rather high. So even though it's not crossover, it, you know, with that Y setup, it sits a little bit higher, so it stays out of the rocks pretty good. Biggest weakness on these axles, I guess, would be it's got a really small ring gear, but like I said, I haven't had trouble with that. I have had trouble with that mount. And depending on the wheel and tire choice, 60-inch wide axle may be perfect for you, it may not be. Let's talk about 5 things I love about this axle. All right, cheapness. I think I bought the axle for $100 and got a set of gears, had a shop set the gears up for me. All the rest of the mechanical work I did. The axle shafts were $550 for chrome ollies at the time that I bought them. And then the rest of the stuff is just store parts, you know, ball joints, unit bearing hubs, brakes, all basic stuff. So I don't think I had more than maybe $2 grand into this. Now you could spend a little bit more if you wanted to do an aftermarket bracket kit, if you wanted to do a truss. But I think if you're looking at 35s, a $2,000 front axle that's locked, that is pretty strong for 35s, like really strong for 33s. Great axle. Everything bolts up, super simple to bolt in. Can't go wrong with this axle. All right, so cheapness, number 1. 2, parts availability. Absolutely love that this axle came underneath. I mean, the Dana 30 came in so many Jeeps, but this specific one came in TJs, WJs, ZJs. The WJ ones are a little bit different, and Cherokees. So all kind of do a variation of this axle. So parts availability is not an issue. Any parts store in America, you're going to be able to find service parts for these. Lightweight be number 3. This Jeep on 35s, you know, kind of depends on how much stuff you add onto it, whether it's running the hardtop, the full doors, or whatever. But I mean, I've had it as light as 4,000 pounds with me in it, with no hardtop, no doors. And that's for, you know, a 4-liter Jeep, you know, an i6 equipped Jeep, that's Sahara package. It's got a lot of the nicer features inside. And I think that's part because this is a right size axle, right? It's not big for the sake of being big. It's big and strong where it needs to be, and not where it doesn't need to be. So weight, we've done weight, we've done price, we've done parts availability, simplicity. There's no welding in swapping a Cherokee axle underneath your TJ or LJ. Everything completely bolts in, and even your drive shaft, which was originally intended for a low pinion, will work on the high pinion. You don't have to get a new drive shaft. Bolts right up. Same 1310 yoke. Absolutely stupid simple. All right, so you got ease of swappability, ease of working on them. This is very basic stuff. If you can follow a YouTube tutorial, if you can take things apart, unbolt them and bolt them back together, you can build this axle. So that's 4. Very popular bolt pattern size, right? So you've got 5 on 4.5 on the outside. I have wheel adapters to 5 on 5.5. So between, or whatever JK is, I don't know if that's 5 on 5 or 5 on 5.5, can't remember. But between those 2 bolt patterns, I mean, there's a million different JK wheels for sale out there, and people selling their JK wheels. WJ wheels also are the same as JK, so they fit on. And then any TJ, YJ, LJ, ZJ, all will be 5 on 4.5. So between these 2 patterns, you can really open yourself up to a lot of aftermarket wheels. So that's super nice. All right, so I've blathered enough about 5 things that are great about it. Let me give you 5 bad things about the Dana 30 high pinion Cherokee axle. So 5 bad things. These housings are known for being weak under heavy vehicles, right? And it seems like one of the themes we're probably going to see here is it's going to be when taxed, when pushed to heavier weights. Honestly, when you keep these things within their intended purpose, right? If you remember, they were for a 3,500 pound Jeep, maybe even a 3,000 pound Jeep if they were a 4-cylinder, and originally designed around 29-inch tires. When you figure that you can modify them to safely run and reliably run under 35s, I mean, really they're a pretty good axle. But when you start pushing things to 35s, let me tell you some of the weak points, or the points that will begin to expose themselves. So, if you run wider wheels, if you run something like a 15 by 10, if you run something that's maybe running 3.5 inches of back spacing, it's going to bring your wheel center, or the center of your tire, from, you know, right over top of the ball joints to all of a sudden out here, and you've got 4 or 5 inches of extra leverage, you're going to start to see your ball joints wear out faster. You're going to start to see your unit bearings wear out faster. 2, the housings are known for being weak. If you make this thing super wide, you put wide tires on it, wide wheels with very little back spacing, you can possibly start to bend the housing. There are trusses available to help you out with that. But yes, the housing can tweak right in the middle, basically on this long side where there's a lot of extra leverage. So you've got that. You've got a smaller ring gear. This is only a 7 3/4 ring gear, which can blow up if you have a heavy foot and you're running 35s, 37s. Let's see, The outer axle shafts are only 27 spline, would be the third weak point. The outer axle shafts are only 27 spline, whereas the inner axle shafts are 30 spline. So that's set that way so that there's a weaker point moved to the outer part of the axle, which makes it easier to service. However, you do have a weaker point. So a 27 spline is obviously going to break before the 30 spline, and that is a weak spot. The bracket kit holds up just fine under stock vehicles, but you can see that it's 1/8 inch steel. Most of your aftermarket stuff is going to be twice as thick at 1/4 inch thick. Lastly, the Y-link style steering, or the Haltenberger linkage, doesn't track as nice as some of the newer steering, basically. To me, it's absolutely fine. Dial it in about 1/16 of a toe in, and they seem to cruise at 75, 80. Just fine for my liking. Maybe they're a little wandery compared to a brand new car with rack and pinion, but also it's a Jeep, so I don't expect it to drive like a Ferrari down the road. So take that for what you want. I don't know. Really, it's struggle to come up with 5 bad things. I think when used within common sense, this is an awesome axle, a great axle. And you know, one thing that you can call a negative, but maybe a positive, is the width. At 60 inches wide, it's narrow compared to a JK. A JK axle is 65 inches wide. This is 5 inches narrower. Now, you may think that that's going to make your vehicle feel unstable, and really, Jeeps are pretty stable overall. So I found that the trade-off of stability versus maneuverability is really worth it. You can get into some places that JKs end up having to put a tire way up high on a rock versus being able to sneak in between them. I ran the Rubicon Trail with 4-door JKs, and they were all over their sliders trying to sneak in between some of these spots. And it was 4-door JK on 35s, and I was on 33s at the time, but I was able to weasel in and out of a lot of places that they couldn't, that would make them high-centered. And that is to the benefit of this narrow axle. So, there you have it. No, it's not quite the update you wanted. I'd like to get to work on that, but also a working man with kids, so we'll go when we have time. I pulled this axle out in probably an hour, and been working on little things on that axle and hoping to sling it under there soon. But if you liked the video, like the video, and if you didn't, I can't imagine you would have stuck around this long. So, you know, hey, maybe you just enjoyed my dog pooping, I don't know. But thanks for watching, and I'll keep you updated on the swap. Take care. Thank you. Bye.